This is a big one, yes. It is 48 wide by 32 high. So it's requiring a bit more planning than I would normally do for a seascape. This is my image that I'll be working from in proportion to the size of the painting. I have put lines in quarters, horizontal and vertical, and then I've added my angles that you can see in the darker colors. Those will be very helpful to me later. Right now, in this beginning stage, they're not as much, so I haven't marked them all on the painting because I'm going to do an end painting with ink tints and wash that in with water. And so I only wanted to put very basic big shapes on there, and those big shapes is this span of blue right here, the clouds, because I want to leave those white. And that's about it so far as drawing at this stage. And I know that you can't see them because I put them on very lightly, but here is a cloud bank going up here and the water right in this area. A little bit dropped down from center. So the next step is underpainting. But just very lightly. It's the main purpose of it right now is just to cover the white in the paper. Not so much the exact colors. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and wash in this blue that I applied it with a very light touch. I didn't press in to get a dark color. I just want it more like a watercolor wash. This area is going to be the brilliance of the sun. I won't want it white. but I am thinking at this point I might want to maintain the whiteness of the paper for now. And it goes from the center line, the vertical center line, to the vertical quarter line. Goes a little bit above halfway horizontally and down to the water. I'm going to use the ink tints and go into this level of water in here that has the more intense blue. The sunshine is so brilliant that it's reflecting on all of this blue water back here, which will become much lighter in value. A little bit more pressure right here to create there's a wave right there that's peeking peeking out in fact. And then as it comes to this center part, this part of the wave is darker. And then it just becomes more of a line, but it's still a little bit darker than the rest of the water. After doing most of this block in underpainting with ink tints and then washing it in with water, I believe that my preference is to do a dry underpainting with pastel in the purplish area, and it gives more of a coverage than the ink tints does. And I also like having the dry underpainting rather than dealing with the water. So even though I have used ink tints over most of this painting, my preference is still going to be the dry underpainting, rubbing it in. The size of this painting, I had to decide what part of the painting to work on first. And the horizon line in my reference photo indicates that it is so distant from the viewer's point of view. So I wanted to lock in that horizon line of the sky. So I've separated the water from the sunlight, which becomes the horizon line. And I'm going to lock in the colors along here and hopefully not have to redo them later. Get them right at this point, and that will then direct the rest of the sky. So after I get that done, then I'm going to go into the deepest part of the sky, the deepest blue, coming up to the lights, and still leaving the cloud bank somewhat, because those are really a lot closer to the viewer than the sky is back here. And this part probably will be done after I've gotten all of the top half done. I've got a lot of pastels and not enough room to store them all, in fact, but getting the right color no matter what you have is very difficult. And I don't use yellow very often. Reference photo, it's very dominant. So I've gone through all of my pastels trying to find a yellow that's going to work and not be overpowering. So I've come up with this one finally, and I'll go over it with white or something that is a lot lighter to tone it down a bit. And also it'll have some purple in it close to the horizon to show that distance. I am happy this morning with this painting. It is beginning to look like my reference photo, full of sunshine, full of light, and full of happy itself. I have not worked on the bottom half, the sea half, only on the sky part. The horizon line right here and going into the clouds. The pastels are working great. A lot of problem finding a blue that works out nicely for the skies. Surprisingly, a lot of blues that I put up there have a purplish tint to them. Not really what I was looking for at the time. I have this set of, I can't turn it upside down, Richardson blues. And it's a beautiful set. I love these colors just looking at them. But you can see as it comes to this side, there's a lot of red in there, so they become more purplish. And these, to me, look a little turquoisey, so there's nothing I really see as being blue, like a blue sky on a bright sunshiny day. But combining different shades of blue, different intensities of them, I've come out with some blues that look almost perfect. The clouds, I haven't worked into them yet, and in fact I think that I'm going to go ahead right now and go into the bottom half and work on the sea. Part of the reason for that is that it is an overcast day. no sunshine. And I have found in the past that working the colors that I might apply on a cloudy day don't look right when there's plenty of light around them. So that changes since the colors I'd be applying today will have other colors on top of them. I can correct those inaccuracies when I have a sunshiny day. So that is going to allow me to go ahead and get started on the bottom part. And looking so forward to it. I love this area of light that's all bringing back into itself. Beautiful. So at this point, the water is moving. I'm using a reference photo, yes. But it doesn't give you that much information. So it's a matter of kind of feeling, what do I know and what can I suppose? And this one comes along here and sort of angles up, creates another little shadow spot. This wave, according to the reference photo, has a little bit more green than it does blue, and that's probably because of the influence of that brilliant sun coming down. But there is that very small spillover, more like a swell than a wave, coming this way. I'm going to go back to the blue in this area between them, because this is going to be a little bit lighter, but puts that in shadow. Add a little bit of this just to create some definition there. I'm going into the sunshine, so I'm not putting anything dark over there. So it doesn't look like I'm working very fast right now. In fact, I am working very slowly, because at this point it's the process of deciding what colors to use, where to put them, how much pressure to apply to a paper. Do I want it in there deep and dark or a little bit lighter that I can bring it out? Creating texture, a lot of texture in this foreground part of the water. It's in the sandy area, very shallow, but it is water. This part will be the sand, but above it is all water. So there are ripples and flows and changes of direction as well as the color choices to make. And I'm enjoying it. Not pulling my hair out yet, but that's a little bit of the process of how I'm applying the pastel at this point. Well, this painting says good morning like nothing I've ever done before. And what a fun thing it's been to do. Going, one part about it that I really like is this area of the water right here. That's a delightful, realistic looking part of water, and I really like it. It works very well. This part of the painting right here, which is on the sand, is primarily just the ink tints, which has been washed in and left itself transparent. It works as sand, and we'll probably leave that with no or very little pastel coming into play. The part that I do not like is this area right here. And I understood yesterday when I left it, of course, that was just the beginning, that there are layers of pastel that I want to put all on top of this and work into this wavy, foamy part of the water. The reason this does not work right now is because of value. This is the area of the painting that's going to be the center of interest. And this leading edge of the foam, this shadow part right here, is as dark as this painting needs to go. Right now, all of these values are darker than this one. So lightening those values up and working into the water to create the wave, that's going to be my primary focus for today. This part right here where some water is just dribbling back down, that looks pretty good. The other thing that bothers me is this bluish shadow part of the painting. I like it in one way, in that it's leading in, but to me it doesn't have the right kind of feel for it. The last thing I'm going to do is putting the birds up here on my little orange dots. There are 5 of them. And one thing that is coming into play is that the sun back here is actually creating, these birds are closer to the viewer than the photo indicates. And I think that's going to be one of the last things I have to do. And they will make the painting pop out, be realistic, be something that you could walk into and you'd say, oh, wow. So, lightening up the values, working on the foam. The other thing is, I thought that this painting was going to be difficult because of its size and the weight that it has on the easel. Turns out those have not bothered me very much at all. The size of it, the pastel has taken beautifully, and it's not going to require as many layers as I would normally put on a pastel painting. It does eat up the pastel sticks, especially these really soft Jack Christensen. I haven't done a lot of video work in progress while I'm working on the painting. Because of its size and field of vision, just working on a small part of it at a time, I have felt like I have to concentrate a little bit more than usual, and so I haven't had the camera going on that. Just these little talks as I get to different stages of the painting. I like for you to be able to see the strokes, the way I'm moving the hand, and the way I'm deciding on color. In this particular painting, I've just had to forego that in many cases. Um, I hope you'll be able to see the combinations of color. One thing that has been difficult has been getting blues. Um, Things that look blue on the table in the palette, put them on the paper next over or next to another color. They're not blue anymore. They have a lot of purple tint to them, a lot of warm, almost a brown color. So I had to combine different colors to create the illusion of blue. You'll be able to see that a lot right in this area especially. there's a part of the sky and clouds that I'm not going to do anything at all with because I love it just like it is. It's kind of an accidental portion. It's the underpainting from ink tints that was washed in very lightly with the blue sky cut in around it with just short strokes from my very soft pastel. I think probably the Schminky brand. And I don't think there's anything I can do with it that would make it any more believable. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'll point out where it is in the reference photo. It's this area right here. It's just a smattering of clouds that are a little bit further back in the distance. And this is where it is on the painting. It's one of those things that just happens, and if you can recognize it and accept it, then leave it alone. Sure, I could go into that lighter part of the area and build up some depth into the clouds and add some white to it, probably some yellow coming from that sky that's underneath it. But why do that? Let it stay a little bit diminished and in the background. I was working on the clouds in the sky, and that caused my eye to drop down, and I see this yellowish golden color in that blue water. And that's one of the hazards of working, of painting when the sky is cloudy, when my room is not as bright as it is usually. I added these touches of a yellow, and I hate them. So I'm using this little brush that has the teeth in it to brush those away. And I'll go over that area with some kind of blues or lighter colors. I'm sure I thought at the time that that yellow would give me the hint of that sun hitting that flat water in here, but gosh, it's an ugly, ugly color. Ugly color, ugly color. So take those off, and with the beauty of pastel, I can easily go over them and create a color that I like. Watch your light conditions in your studio. I have a long, narrow studio, and there are windows on 3 sides. So there's a lot of natural light coming in, filtered by all of the green that is outside. But when it's cloudy, it's easy to get to pick out the wrong color. Most of that, and yes, I could have gone over that yellow with a blue, which would turn it a sort of a turquoise. I don't like to do that with my yellows and blues. Many other times I will quite, without even thinking, go over color with another color and come out with just exactly what I need. But for some reason, I don't like to do it with yellow. Okay, so I'm not going to paint that right now because I'm working on the sky, but I did want to get the distraction of it away from me. I walked into the studio this morning and I just had to say, wow, this painting on the easel is so soft and inviting. I feel like I could walk into it. You know, I'm the one that painted it, but to me it's unreal that it's actually on a flat surface. The camera, you can't see with the camera what your eyes will tell you when you look at it in person. I've had to finally acknowledge an area that had been bothering me of this painting. I love the area right in here. Absolutely love it. But for this painting, it doesn't work. So I've got to forego what I'm thinking and go with what's going to make this painting more real. So what happened in allowing this line right here to go right here and this brighter yellow right here, you kind of fall off the painting. As well as the directional lines are so strong that are you going to go this way or are you going to go that way? So I'm going to lift this water line, level it out a bit, maybe even curve it back up, flatten it out somehow. And I don't have a formula for that. I can't exactly go by my reference photo. So it'll just be kind of a hunt and peck or work it out as I go kind of thing. So a little bit tedious, a little bit indefinite. What am I going to do? I don't know. I can't go too light and take away from here. So, but I can't go this dark. And I still have to maintain a water line. What if I... This, even though it's a pretty color, on top of the other color, it's a grayish look, which, let me just try that, might be okay. It's still dark. It's still dark. It's lighter than what was there, but it is dark. So... fold that up a little bit. I'm treating this waterline right here the same way you would treat sky holes in a tree, in the trees. Making little random strokes to lighten up that waterline. So that it doesn't change level from here to here, keeping them all at the same level as the water hits the sand. That's looking pretty good. Now I'm gonna go over it with, I think, some white. This is a Diane Townsend, which is very, very gritty, and so it creates its own texture in there. Works very nicely on this sudsy water. And a smooth Sennelier that has a touch of yellow in it. The color is 44044. And I'm going to go back out to that yellow. I've looked at little bitty areas of the painting and found out which ones are not working for me. In this case, this area has become too dark in comparison to the other parts of the painting. So the eye is being pulled over to here, to the edge and off the edge. A very unimportant part of the painting. So it is a matter of what's the best. This is a very pretty little flat area of water, and because it is flat and light colored, I'm hoping I can duplicate it without it becoming a feature. And too light compared to everything else around it. I can even, I think, put some of this right in this area and delete some of that darkness. So this is, that's nice. This is touching the edge of the pastel to the paper and feathering up and out, away from the painting. And that gives a hint of sparkle, lightens without putting a lot of emphasis on it. A little splash of water, maybe to highlight from the sea. And I'm going to almost do the same thing right here in the opposite direction. Where I've got it where I don't want it, if I just touch it with my finger, that gets a shadow of the light, removes a bit of it, and makes it read okay. There isn't a lot of pastel layers on this area, so the sanded paper is really grabbing the sticks of pastel. So it has to be an extra light touch. Okay, that's pretty good. I want that flat water. I want it flat. Okay. The stick will come up. Yeah, that's good. Now, I'm actually going to take my finger and blend this in. It's sort of where a light is hitting wet sand and creating a reflection of light, a glare on that water, on the sand. I'm going to go over that with a little bit of white. And try to keep this all in. Such a light touch. Keep it from grabbing so much. Okay, and over, let me go into this now. And if I can bring it back to this water, the white water, back to that water line. It's like a little eddy where the wave, this flat water, but it's busy water, so it's still flowing in, and then it's hitting this flat eddy of water right here. So it's It's something you want to see. It's a nice little feature to be over on that side. Uh, it's kind of like bits and pieces of detail. But you don't want it to just stand out at you. It's got to go back away, not cause any interest. 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 Just barely touching this little, the sharper edge of the pastel. And up close you can see it, at a distance you can't. But up close it gives the effect of sand being mixed into that water, sparkling on the top, laying on the top. I'm going to back up now and look at it. Do I like that? It's still too dark. Too light, too dark. Okay. There's a little bit of yellow I'm going to add to that white. That's pretty good. Maybe just right there. I think it's this dark area that I don't like. Where the water is coming in, I'm going to try, this is a new pastel. Maybe I can get some. You know, even the painting, the reference photo shows that as being dark. In a painting, I'm watching out for those areas that bring my eye and to an area that really deserves to be quiet. It deserves to have some fascination with it, something that you'd like to look at. But on the other hand, you want it to not distract from your center of interest. The way the colors are laying down, it looks as if the water has come down, hit the bottom that's reflecting the sky, and then it pops up and comes back down. I think I'd rather it just lay flat across here. So this little blender that has a point on it, if you can see that, I'm dragging it through to create the texture of the water. The fact that it's not, even though it's flat, it has little ripples, ups and downs in it. Use this like a paintbrush with the pastel that's already on there. And I might do a little bit of it here. Pointing back over to that sea. That's another thing is this angle right here. If I take it, you may not be able to see it in the camera right now, but if I take this angle, it points directly back to the center of interest. Neat. Okay. And right here, I want this one to have, do a little bit of something on it. I need a little bit of light right in here. I kind of like that. A little bit of movement there. Although careful that you follow the form of this wave that's coming over. Where is it going? It's going over here. Doing this little motion is pulling a little bit of this light color up into the dark, toning it down, taking away some of the dark, and then it comes in here. Get rid of this sharp edge. Same thing here. This is a quick turn of colors that I need to tone it, blend those two edges together so that they don't create a definite line. Backing up and looking at it, do I like it? This is still a little dark here and a little dark here. I'm going to let that sit for a little while and see if it's okay to keep that there. In a way, it's leading up to the birds, so I may like that enough to leave it alone. I'm working on this area that where the sea touches the sand. I had gone over and eliminated all of my dark line across here. And when I step back and look from it, look at the painting, it looks very milky, very chalky, too white. It's okay, and I do want to have some tendrils of water continuing onto the sand, but to have it white, it really wasn't working. So I have added touches of this Sennelier number 129 along in here, just light touches, not to overdo it. So that's looking pretty good, believable. But this area I had done earlier, and it looks dirty to me. So I've got to figure out, do I either go over it with another color, or do I try to take it off? This is a kneaded eraser. The brush did not work very well for me. So I have to go over it with another color. And I'm almost thinking if I could carve in little touches of blue. I rather like that. In fact, I think I'm going to use some of them over here too as well. That's that one. Go a little bit lighter now in here. What I'm doing is almost like if you're a landscape painter, making the little sky holes in a tree. It's really, really nice looking, I think. So I'm going to continue. We'll make a few in here. I like that orange, leave that right here. But I don't want them too disconnected where they don't make any sense. Okay, now this little strand of water is falling down here and then catches another little element of the water. So maybe I can use it. Go one step lighter as it gets away from the real water. The intensity of the sun seems to be greatest right here. I'm going to try this. I have so much texture mark making in here that I think that over in here in this flat water, it's okay to have some bold flat strokes. I have that going. I need to push that down. This is going back up the hill. I don't want that. This needs to be flattened out. There you go. I'm actually going to flatten this out too. It goes lighter and then it comes into this. I want to put this in. Oh, well, you know, that's kind of dark, but I kind of like it too. So I'm gonna put it over here. That's good. Okay, but I need to, it's too separated. I'm gonna soften it just a little bit, even though I really liked it. It's too dominant. Okay, that adds a bit. I like that. I've been concerned that this ends too abruptly. It's a lot better. This little area is coming back into the light, so it has to